had a friend who he gave a talk, and he like has a big marker board, and he's writing his timeline out on this marker board or a piece of paper. And he gets to this one point, he said, and at this point, I had an affair. And he puts this big blotch or something, maybe wrote affair, I can't remember. And then he said afterwards, we went through his struggles, and then we had 2 kids, and he, stick figures and this. And then he goes back, he said, had we ended at the affair, and he just rips that whole page off. At that point, he goes, we would have missed all this other stuff that went along.
My name is Jason, and we are cultivating wisdom from our mistakes. We're going to hear about a few mistakes from Todd Wilson today, a father of 8 kids, traveled around with his family for a while. He speaks and encourages men and husbands and wives to just keep persevering, stay in your marriages, stay loving your kids. That's what really counts at the end of the day. This is a great interview with Todd Wilson, the Familyman.
Well, thank you, Todd. And I wanted to say, I'm sitting here with Todd Wilson, the Familyman. Hey, Todd, how's it going? But I don't think I can nail it.
It's going good.
Great. Well, welcome to Canada.
It's good being here. It was easy getting over, so that was always a good thing.
Awesome. Now, you have been the Familyman for 21 years. You were telling me a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because you traveled around with your 8 kids.
And we did.
You're still doing that in the RV, or some have moved?
Well, when we first started, we didn't know what that was going to look like. We didn't know what being a family man was. I just had this desire to encourage parents, really dads. And we homeschooled our kids, so I thought, I see my wife and all the other moms are discouraged. I thought, I can encourage them because that's what I do. And so we did that like one summer or one season. And someone said, you ought to get an RV if you want to continue this. And we're like, that's a great idea. We didn't know any better. So we got an old RV and we fixed it up and we took off. And really it's been what my family's done for the last 21 years. And we used to do it, 10 of us, 8 kids and my wife and I, and we would go out, and we would be out for a long period of time, for months, without going home. And but as my kids have gotten older and they've gotten married, and not all of them, but half of them are married, and we have grandkids, there's this pull that pulls us back home. And so I still love encouraging moms and dads. I still love encouraging homeschoolers, but I don't want to miss family. And so we're kind of in this transition, trying to figure out how to do it all, so we don't travel around like we used to. Now I'm here with one of my second youngest son, Cal, and I'll take, the next time I go out, I'll take somebody. But I have been to a few events by myself, and that's weird because I don't like that.
Yeah.
And that's not, I really, I want to get the dad part right. And if I have to let some of this go, I'll let some of this go. So that's kind of where we are now.
No, that's great. I like that you incorporate your kids into stuff and you bring them along. And I was listening to your podcast the other day. It sounds like you don't even have a night free to take your wife out for Valentine's because you got grandkids and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a different stage of life.
Totally different stage.
So tell me about the transition. Our oldest is 18. She's just gone to school for a year in Wisconsin, actually. And so we're about to head into that stage of life. You're launching your kids. It sounds like, I don't know if all your kids are still local.
They're boomerangs. They come back. They're not leaving.
That's great.
And it is totally great. And, it's really not any different than when they were little. When they were little, you give everything you have to them. You give your energy, you just give it all. And now that they're older, we still give it all. I mean, really, we're watching kids, grandkids, we're watching, they're at our house all the time. I mean, every evening, one of the younger kids will go, is anybody coming over tonight? And we're like, I don't know. It's 4:00. Nobody said. 4:03. 2 of them are said they're coming over. So we're going to invite the others, and then everybody's there. And we'll have everybody over. I mean, 3 times a week probably. And it's loud and it's exhausting sometimes, but really that's where I want to spend my life. I mean, if I get to the end and I will have done everything that I wanted to do, I think I would have wasted it. It really, it's being a servant to the very end. And I can remember even with my dad, my dad, when we had this new young family, and we'd go out to eat, and he'd say, "I'm going to pay today, Dad." And I'm like, "You don't have to, Dad. You don't, my dad's cheap. He doesn't. I didn't think it came natural, And he goes, "I want to." I said, "But it's so much money." And he goes, "Where do you spend all your money, Todd?" And I go, "My kids." He goes, "That's where I want to spend mine too." And I've kind of come to that same conclusion. That's where I want to spend my money, And so when we go out, or we go, there's lots of times we'll buy. Just because, is it expensive? Oh, yeah. But that's where I want to spend my money. I don't want to get to the end and just have this pile that I saved. And so, this parenting just continues, but it pays huge dividends, and it's worth every sacrifice, everything. And so I keep telling other dads that, and I have to remind myself of that. But it's true. It's true.
When I listen to you on your podcast, you seem... Well, sometimes you don't seem empathetic, but often you don't seem too empathetic to Scott sometimes, but you do to other dads.
My new crying a bucket, Jake.
Exactly. We're driving here and I was like, he doesn't sound too empathetic. Now he's always talking about dads. They know what you're going through, and stay married. And so, did that come naturally to you, or
am I empathetic?
Yeah, like.
Here's I feel like what I've always, maybe not always realized, but I've realized that some people never do. They don't realize that it's hard for everybody. It just is. I don't pretend that marriage is easy. I don't pretend that parenting is easy. I don't even like when we kind of fake it like maybe it is. I've listened to lots of homeschooler speakers and other speakers, and sometimes you hear them and you think, we don't even live on the same planet, and I've tried some of their little 10-step things, and it always ends in disaster, or it just doesn't end like they say it will.
Right.
And so, my thing is, let's just acknowledge that it's hard. It's hard being married. It just is. I used to, I was young and stupid. I would, I'd go out and speak at a church or speak at an event, and the title of my workshop would be, or my talk for couples would be, how to have a marriage that rocks, and I'm just like, maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is just to be married, so maybe the division isn't like, oh, you have a good marriage or a bad marriage. Maybe it's, you're either married or you're not. Some people have hard marriages.
Yeah.
Some have easier marriages. I met a couple, and they took me to task. They're like, Todd, you always you say marriage is always hard. They said, our marriage is easy. And I'm like, really? I said, but have either one of you been molested as a kid? Did you lose a child? Are you going through any, hormonal things? Because that changes everything.
Sure.
Do you have baggage where your dad was abusive, or, all this stuff and all that, and even that, as I talk to them, and they would say, ours is just easy. And I'm like, well, you should be super, super thankful.
Yeah.
And then they said, next breath, our other two daughters who got married, it troubles us because theirs is hard. And I'm like, that's because most marriages are that way. And, it's not a sign that it's bad. And I think sometimes we think it's a sign of that it's bad and that it needs to be changed. In fact, I just heard on the radio 2 weeks ago, I was speaking in Georgia. I was driving down there.
And a speeding ticket.
I got to see. Yeah, I had to bring that one up, didn't you? Yes. It's paid for, and I'm good now. I'm not going to jail. But I heard this couple, and I think the guy was Mandy Patinkin, who is Princess Bride. He's the guy who says the line, "My name is something Montoya, and you killed my father." I think it was him. And apparently, he's an old guy now. He's 70. He's been married for 45 years. And during, I don't know if it was COVID or post-COVID, that his son would interview his wife and him. So Mandy and his wife, and they would just talk.
Right.
They don't prepare. They just talk. And I guess they argue all the time on, and even while they were on the radio, he would say something like, "Oh, I remember this." And she goes, "Well, that's not really exactly how it went." And my wife and I, when we sometimes will do a panel, she does the exact same thing to me. I'll say, well, here's what we did. And she goes, well, that's not really true. And I'm like, do you have to say that for all those people? Just let it go. But he was basically saying that, we used to think that you always had to be this smooth, serene thing to have a good marriage. And he basically said, maybe sometimes there is a constant bicker. There is that who they are in their marriage, and they still love each other, and they're still married. And I'm thinking maybe that is a good thing. Maybe that is okay. That it doesn't have to be what it looks like on the Hallmark Channel all the time, because the Hallmark Channel is only this little sliver before, they light the Christmas tree and kiss each other. And then life begins. So your question about empathetic, I am totally empathetic. I get it. Guy will say to me, oh, Todd, I was a terrible dad. I screamed at my kid, and I'm like, did you shoot him? He goes, no. I'm like, you're okay. Because I feel like that, Don't give up. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's, at the same point, I'm not empathetic when the dads go, well, it's just so hard, my wife never is nice to me. And I'm like, suck it up, buttercup, cry in a bucket, Jake,
Yeah.
Because that's what we said. We said we'd love our wives no matter what, I'm sorry. I wish it was not that way. It is that way. I get it. But that's not an excuse. And even for the dads, and it's super hard. I get this too. They'll say, our marriage is just really hard. There's no happiness. Is this good? Am I just supposed to stay married so for my kids? And I'm like, yes. Yes, you do. And for your grandchildren that you haven't had yet, and your great-grandchildren. This is bigger than just you, bigger than just me. And so, we live in a world now where everybody's the victim. And I don't get it. I just think we have to, as the dads, as the husbands, we have to show up to battle every day, whether we want to or not, and we just do it. In fact, I was one time at a conference, just like we're at right now, and this guy came up to me and he said, so what makes a good dad? And I know he was thinking 10 points, give me 10 points and I'll write them down and I will put them into my life. And I couldn't answer him. I just because I don't like trite answers. Sure. I don't like little simple things. And I chewed on it for a couple months. And then I finally just decided, or came to a conclusion. I think what makes a good dad, what makes a good husband, what makes a good mom is one who doesn't give up. That's it. They just keep going. They blow it, they ask forgiveness, they keep praying about it, but they just keep going. They keep trying, they don't give up. And so that's really what I want for all the dads I meet and for the moms I meet. Because if you do give up, then you miss the good stuff.
Right.
There was a song, it was an old song, and it was called 50 Years From Now. And I won't sing it for you, but it's basically like 50 years from now, and he's talking about husband and wife. What will we remember? If we walk away from this, what will we have missed 50 years from now? And I think, to the homeschoolers, the ones who are like, they're about ready to quit, I'm like, if you quit, you're going to miss out on some good stuff. Husband's wife, if you quit, you're going to miss out on some good stuff. I had a friend who, he gave a talk, and he has a big marker board, and he's writing his timeline out on this marker board, or a piece of paper. And he gets to this one point, he said, and at this point, I had an affair. And he puts this big blotch or something, maybe wrote affair, I can't remember. And then he said afterwards, we went through his struggles, and then we had 2 kids, and he, stick figures and this. And then he goes back, he said, had we ended at the affair, and he just rips that whole page off. At that point, he goes, we would have missed all this other stuff that went along. And it was just a beautiful reminder that it is hard. It's stinking hard. But it's worth it.
You've been doing this for 20 years. Have you seen changes or trends, or like you said, people seem like a victim now? I think that's changed from 20 years ago.
I think that has.
What's different from 20 years ago?
I think that is, and it's continuing more so. We're looking for someone else to take care of our problems.
Mm.
And the direction is not from on us. My wife and I, we were kind of meeting with an online marriage lady. You know, my wife said, how about we do this? And I said, yeah, that'll be fun. You know, and so we decided, and I thought, I'm always up for new tips. And
Sure.
And so we were meeting with these other people too. And I hope she's not listening. And she had lots of great things to say. But, you know, the whole point was how you can change you to meet my needs better.
Mm.
So I don't feel understood. So you're not listening. So there are these things that you can do so I can feel better understood. There was never once that said, hey, lame-o, you know, there's something wrong about you. You need to change. I was listening on the radio and they were dissecting Gary Chapman's 5 love languages. They basically said, science has now shown us that he's wrong.
Mm.
But as they talked, and this was from a secular point of view, what they were saying is, and I think their axe to grind was, men are saying, my love language is physical touch. So you, wife, need to give it to me whenever I want it.
Right.
And I wanted to call in and say, that's not the point at all. The point is that I will know your love language and I will adjust so I can love you in a certain way, not about you loving me. And I think maybe that's being emphasized even more so now, that it's what others can do to help me, not what my country can, not what you can do for your country, which would not play well now.
No, yeah.
You know, I mean, if JFK gave that, they'd roll him out and say, what, are you a nut? You know, what we can do for the government.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how we feel. And so maybe that's a change. But I think it's always been hard from the very beginning. It's been hard. Dads have blown it. You know, being married has always been hard.
Dads were blowing it in the Bible.
They were blowing it in the Bible. And so that brings me some comfort.
Yeah.
That it's maybe it hasn't changed.
So have you ever blown it? Have you ever made any mistakes, Todd? You're speaking at a homeschool conference. You must be perfect.
While I'm here at the conference, there have been so many times where I had my kids in tears right before I go up, or had my kids in tears right after I go down. You know, I've sat in a room full of people, my wife's sitting on the front row, and I'm looking her in the eye, and I can hear her thoughts going, die, die, die. And I'm going, let's just praise God together, you know. And so, you know, all the time. And people still, they don't believe it. They believe that theirs is worse than mine. No, they're the same. I mean, there have been times where my wife has said harsh things like, you know, you're the worst. You know, my kids have said, you don't love me and I hate you. You know, the kids do that. I don't believe them. I don't believe my wife. You know, I want to go, there is a guy worse than me. I can guarantee at least one. This guy that is, he killed his whole family. See, I've never done that. So I learned that from Scott, by the way. Scott always goes for the worst.
For the extremes.
Yeah, you go for the extremes. But, you know, but the truth is that that's just the way it is. And I can remember talking to a speaker that maybe you'd know if I said his name. And he said, well, you just want to put your best foot forward. And I think really the best foot is a lie. That we portray that. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit here. Because I think we've been doing it for so long. We just lie to them. You know, we do it on social media. We post, you know, great pictures. We write these love notes to our spouse. Thank you for being married for all these years. You're the blah, 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 blah. You know, and the spouse doesn't even see it. You know, but everybody else reads it and they think,
oh, like you're posting the love letter, right?
No, they do it all the time.
Right.
And then, you know, and then everybody reads it and go, oh, I could never write that. You know, my husband isn't like that. And I just think, you know, I think they're lying.
I think I read on your website where you had a family picture and you're like, I keep this picture up because I remember we had just like.
Oh, I'll probably share that story here.
Yeah.
You know, it is like one of those pictures that, you know, we see those picture moments and it's just a little snapshot of a perfect family or of a normal family that looks perfect. But I think we're stupid. We look at that and we think, oh, look how great they are. And people come up when my family is at an event like this and they'll say, oh, you have such an adorable family. They're so amazing. And I'm like, you don't even know them. I was just being mean to him just a little while ago, and one of the others was mean to and it's all that, but it's still good. It's still good. And that's, again, going back to that, my fear is that we'll miss it because we'll want something that is not realistic, is not even real. Unattainable.
You have a busy, multifaceted business, ministry. You've kind of added more things and products and going and speaking. So how do you manage it? Do you think in your head, I'm working now, I'm home now, I've got product in the garage? Like, what is the whole work and home and
it doesn't look like that at all. It looks like this. This is my life, and so there's no division. It really does feel like, I feel like a stay-at-home mom sometimes, that, you have this goal. Today I'm going to do this. And I can remember when my kids were little, I would go, my office is in the basement, and I would go down, I would leave my kids upstairs, I would go down to my basement, the door is swinging shut, and it's opened up, and there's one of my kids standing there. I'm like, what do you want? They said, can you take me to whatever? And I'm like, you're kidding me, I got in here 3 minutes ago. But that's what my life feels like. And so it doesn't feel like I do ministry at this time. And I have a friend who, his is scheduled out, and he goes down, he starts in his office at this time, he comes up for this long of a lunch, and he does this, and I just am not that way. And really, I haven't found life to be very much like that. And you talk about transition. As I've gotten older and our kids are older, I feel like life is demanding more. And so all those plans and things that I wanted to conquer the world feel like they're kind of, I'm going to set them aside, and I'm going to do what I can.
Home life is demanding more.
Home life takes up a lot more time. So I'm going to do what I can, but it won't be what I would like it to be. And I'm going to be a dad, because when it comes to the end, really that's all I'm going to care about. I'm not going to care about my books. I don't care how many I've sold and really God's taking care of us. And so that I don't feel that pressure in the same way as I did. So my life just feels like this. It's like my life,
right?
And really when I talk to homeschooling moms, that's what I want for them. I don't want it to be, well, we do school now, and then later I'm going to be my mom.
Right.
This is your thing, this is, you get school when you can, and when you don't, they're still learning. So it's all the same thing, which I think is how we're supposed to live.
Yeah, we're just people.
Yeah, we're just people doing this. Yeah.
Did you start out trying to focus on men, and then it also became moms?
Yes.
And now it's kind of both audiences.
It is. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, my passion was for dads. And again, like I said at the very beginning, so we kind of were homeschooling. I saw the pressures put on moms. And so we were kind of like, we were the Familyman, and we were doing our Familyman thing. And I would also talk to moms. So 4 years ago, we kind of split off this little section called the Smiling Homeschooler. And that was like, it gave me clarity. So now I can focus on moms. And really my focus is totally different. Same end result.
Sure.
I want them to, but now I can just focus on homeschooling moms. And even now people write and say, well, you should include dads too, the homeschooling dads. I'm like, well, I'm not going to, because they think differently, so I'm going to just do the moms.
Yeah.
And for the dads, I'm just doing the dads. So I've kind of like that.
Yeah. We have your book, and we probably got it 13 years ago when I heard you at a conference, Lies Homeschooling Moms Believe. Like, everyone else's family can play, they all play violin from age 2,
right.
And they love it, and their kids, brush their teeth every single day, So you've written some books and stuff. What's kind of your latest thing that you've, content-wise, that you produce, and how can people find your information?
We don't crank out as much new content as we did. So we focus a lot on our podcast, because and we have a newsletter that we send out to moms and to dads every week. And that's kind of a big deal thing. That's a kind of cutting edge Todd, because it's what I'm thinking about right now. Yeah. But we're real excited about it. I'm going to be presenting a little bit later this evening, actually. The homeschool personality types.
I saw that
Super
on your
excited about that. I think it has a great potential. We're just kind of delving into it, so it's kind of new. But I think it's going to be a great thing for moms. And then for dads, I'm just constantly, again, the same thing, just reminding them. That's why I like the beauty of of a weekly newsletter or a podcast or something daily. We have a New to Dad daily calendar that we do every Christmas. And it's just me, whispering in their ear every day. Here's where the good stuff is. Here's where the good stuff is. Because dads on their own choose this stuff over here. And they go, oh, no, it's over here. I'm like, oh, yeah, right. Oh, no, over here. And so we just need to be reminded. One of the biggest compliments that I get, and I get it all the time, they'll say, oh, I was about to do this, and I just felt the Holy Spirit speaking to me. And they're like, and it sounded like you.
sounded like you.
Saying you to Dad. And I love that.
Right.
Because I think it is the Holy Spirit, not using my voice, but just, and I like to be a part of that. And it's so big because, even at the end of the Bible, or end of the Old Testament, where it says, the forerunner of the Messiah was going to turn the hearts of the dads to their children. And I think he was just getting the gospel. He was preparing their hearts for the gospel. And I think we dads are more receptive to what God could do in our lives when we're right with our kids and when our kids are right with us. And so I'm going to do this till the end. And, they'll bury me in my RV, and that'll be it.
Oh, that's
And I hope they put on my tombstone, he was a dad.
Yeah. And your website is?
FamilymanWeb.com or thesmilinghomeschooler.com.
Okay, for moms and dads. Todd Wilson, the Family Man, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much for watching, for listening to today's episode with Todd Wilson. He had some great things to share with us. Stay married, stay loving your wife, dads, and keep engaging with your kids even through the hard times and the difficult times. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done that, and we'll see you next time when we cultivate wisdom from mistakes.